Alrighty, episode 5? Episode 5. Welcome to the Audi build. So you can see, obviously, we're in the truck. We're actually going somewhere. In the back of the truck, I've got all of the tires and wheels that need to get swapped. So we're switching from 18-inch Pretorias, which are a 7.5-inch wide wheel with a reasonable offset. Now we're going to a 9-inch wheel, which is going to make a huge difference for supporting these big Bridgestone RD71 RSs. So I've been running RD71 RSs. This is actually my first set. I've been very impressed with the grip. They're a very good tire. But if you guys haven't seen not the episode, but if you haven't seen the video that Tire Rack put out, long story short, a smaller tire, well supported, will always outperform a larger tire that's not as well supported. So going to a 9-inch rim on this tire is going to be a big upgrade. I think it's going to make a big difference, and also set us up for some future proofing down the road. So down the road, it's going to be great because I think with this setup, we should be able to fit roughly a 255, and 255 square on the Audi is beefy. It's super beefy. So we're going to drop these off at the tire shop, let them go ahead and tear into them and start working on getting them mounted and balanced. And then after that, we're going to tear into the rear suspension. Goal for tonight is, like I said, tires, rear suspension, and see where else we get. In the rear suspension, we've got the rear camber arms, we've got the upper and lower control arms, or maybe not. Anyway, we have the coilovers, which I'm very excited about. I haven't actually pulled the coilovers out of the box yet. And I hate to saying it, I'm not going to tell you guys where these coilovers came from, but I will show you what they look like, kinda. And then if anyone's super duper smart to find out, then hey, good for you. But yeah, that's this episode. Let's get started. All right, guys, it is on. Tires and wheels were dropped off. I've got them working on those. We're going to pick them up tomorrow. Now it's time to tear into rear suspension. We're going to start with some liners, support them, pull some bolts, and go from there. Rear suspension came out shockingly easy. Here's what it looks like. Get the spring there. Got the trash shock there. All the bolts and connections out there. So now we're going to start replacing it with new and shiny bits. Got all the hardware down in here, so it's nice and organized. And we're going to go ahead and open up our coilover box, which I'm very excited about. I'm excited personally. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to make it available to you guys as to know what these are. But just know I'm hyped. And they took a long time to get here, and it took a lot of research to find them. And yeah, so here's what they look like. Let's have a look. Okay, so unboxing. Here we go. So these did travel from another country. I'm confident enough to say that. I don't think anyone's going to figure out what this is if I did tell them. If it didn't travel from another country, I mean, it's German, so it's kind of the nature of the beast, right? Now, if I could, I would put some big Quentin Tarantino, like...
We happy? Vincent! We happy?
Yeah, we happy.
Alright, here comes the rear. Yeah, okay. You know what you just saw is you definitely just saw an external reservoir, and that's cool. But hey, there's a lot out there that have external reservoirs. I guess you'll just have to wait and see. So anyway, here I go, installing my new shiny parts. Here we go. If you were curious what a really cooked rear shock absorber looks like, it looks like that. Not really doing much at all. Like seriously, like it's like a giant accordion. Yeah, it's El Cookto. Gone. Got some unfortunate news. So I needed to check with the engineers with the suspension stuff. I went to mount it last night after I got all the shocks and everything pulled apart, and the rears didn't look right. They just changed the design a little bit from what the OEM did, and I needed some reassurance to verify everything was good. But while I was doing that, unfortunately, I pulled out the front suspension, and a particular feature that was very important to me that I got didn't ship with the kit. So got back with the engineers. They've already started working on it. They're going to go ahead and get me some shipped out parts. I don't know if I mentioned probably earlier in the episode that I was going to try to make a race this weekend. It looks like it's not going to happen, and that's okay. It honestly will kind of keep me from having to do a big cannonball push to get the car done, and I can sit back and focus and make sure the car is exactly where I want it to be, right? So anyway. So with that being said, we're going to do a little bit of a pivot. We've got the springs in the driver's side, and the passenger side still needs to be pulled apart. So I'm not in a huge rush to get that knocked out. I think we're going to just try to reprioritize. We can either look at brakes, we can look at camber arms. I'm going to see what the world speaks to me, right? We'll see what comes, and then I'll film it and show it to you. Found some motivation. I think tonight I've decided the plan is camber arms, right? So these are the rear camber arms. You can see they're pretty much two pieces of metal that they welded together, and these are gross because this car has an oil leak. Anyway, it was gross getting rained on, highly unpleasant, don't recommend, but it's time now to put shiny parts on. So, like I said, stock arm, aftermarket arm, right? And the astute among you will notice the big difference being this Heim joint right here. So this Heim joint is going to give us anywhere from, if I had to take a guess, I think the specification said anywhere from 1 to 4 degrees of camber here in the rear, which is more than plenty, right? We're gonna be able to use all that tire and some, and do it a whole lot easier. So it is worth mentioning that the rear here, the only adjustable camber you had is in this eccentric bolt, and it wasn't much. So that's going to go in practically the exact same spot where it was, and that'll leave that there. We'll never adjust with the eccentric bolt again, and now it will be nothing but Heim joint goodness, at least on this side of the car. I think these are SPCs. I got them for a steal. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and start putting this back in the car, and I'll show you what it looks like. We love to see some shiny bits. So that is our new camber arm, located nicely. We got the cam adjuster bolt at the top, the eccentric bolt set back to where it was. We've got all this stuff loosely snugged, and so far so good. Everything is moving right along. So obviously we get to do this twice on the other side, and I won't show you guys that because it'll be the exact same thing on the other side, right? So anyway, I'm thinking with this side kind of being pulled apart and still loose, I haven't torqued any of this yet, we might look at actually doing our new brakes. I kind of would rather do one whole side at a time and then one whole side on the other side. I think that'll make me feel better, you know, a little bit of a small win in an evening. So I think that's going to be our next step. So we'll go ahead and pull the brakes off and see what we can do on that. Let's see what kind of progress we make here. Man, I cannot tell you how excited I am. I've just got this big, giant smile on my face because pulling apart these brakes is just one of those things where you're like, man, we're making a big difference here. So carrier and everything is out. I know that you're not supposed to hang it on the brake line. I'm going to replace those with stainless ones. But look at the size difference, right, between this one and this one, right? Not only that, but this is a completely solid rotor, right? There is no venting at all. This is the rotor off of an S3, right? And not only that, friends, I've also got vented and slotted ones for the rears here. So I have this one out for size comparison. The guy I bought this off of, he was so kind as to send the rotors as well. But here is the bigger assembly that is going to go on. And like I said, I'm not going to worry about doing pads. The plan is just to get the big giant rotor on and big giant rotor and swap out the shields here. And then we'll see what that looks like all assembled. And I think you guys will be just as giddy as I am. I know you guys probably don't need to see this, but I'm taking a quick moment to shout out my girlfriend because she is always asking so many awesome questions about the car. And when it comes to suspension, she finds it very confusing, which is fine, very reasonable, especially with all the weird divorce setups that you have back here. But this is the spindle, right? So you can see axle into spindle. That's all tied as I spin this. This moves, right? So obviously it's not spinning because it's in park, but everything in the rear suspension, girlfriend, bolts to this spindle. So the brakes bolt to the spindle, the the camber mount that we talked about bolts to the spindle. On the backside, this is the toe link, that bolts to the spindle. The lower control arm bolts to the spindle and all the other fun stuff. And when we put the big shock in there, then it all bolt eventually to the spindle. So anyway, that's a quick explanation for her. Ta-da! An hour later, we've now got everything put together for this rear brake assembly, and damn does it look good. I mean, we got the big, fresh, shiny Willy Bobs up here. We got the new carrier, massive, huge, new dust covers, got the new stainless brake lines on. Everything is now put together. This is a assembly, right? The only two things that we need from this point forward is we need some rotors, or sorry, not rotors, we need some new pads, which I'm going to get ordered. And then we need to install our shock absorber, which is going to be the end of the driver's side of the rear suspension, which is really sad to talk about, but hey, you know, we get to do this all over again. The good news is that I now have all the tools out. Literally every single tool. So this should be much easier the second time because you're not constantly having to get up and hunt for tools and go back and forth and left and right and back center. You get the point. Anyway, so this looks beautiful. We're going to basically get the shock assembled, and then that'll be the pretty much it for this side. We're going to get the shock assembled, basically do all the torques, get the clicky sticky, and let the clicky sticky go clicky, and then on to the other side. What I'll plan to do is kind of give you guys a big break here. I think I mentioned this earlier. I will get this side assembled to get it all put together, and then I'll go do the other side. I won't film that other side because it'll just be the exact same as this one. And then when it's all said and done, I'll show you what they both look like. So that's it for now, and you guys will see me here in a second. So obviously unrelated to installing the suspension, but we did need a couple extra parts, like some crow's foot and some more gloves and some crush washers and things along those lines. So now for comedic effect, I'm now just logging how many times I've been to Harbor Freight since I started building the car. I don't remember, to be really honest with you. It's a good time to put a little ticker on the screen. Hopefully you guys can have a small laugh at me. So however many that time we've been to Harbor Freight, we'll see how many more it gets up to before this thing's done and built. Midpoint check-in, still alive. Now everything's all disconnected. I'm going to put it all back together now. Here's what it looks like. Boom, all finished. So we now have both sides all put together, and I can tactically, how about that? I can tactically show you what the brakes look like without showing you my very expensive and very secret coilovers. So what's next, right? Man, that took a lot longer than I thought it was going to. Mostly because the suspension design is very interesting. Trying to figure out how to baseline set up these coilovers that are so adjustable. It took a lot longer than I thought it would. A lot of ChatGPT, a lot of YouTube videos, and all the other fun stuff. But you know, putting stuff together, taking it apart, putting it together, taking it apart over and over and over again. I think I kind of got it all figured out roughly. So it was funny because I was actually planning on. I was like, oh well, I can't even finish this because I don't have brake pads. But thankfully, in the time it took to put that rear suspension together, I was able to buy brake pads, mail them in, and all that other fun stuff. And this was not like rush shipping. This was like free shipping, and it took like a week and a half. So that's on me. I'm gonna pick that up, right? Anyway, so last couple things to do in the rear are put these rear brake pads on the car. And then basically torque everything whenever it's kind of at ride height. That's one of the big mistakes I made was I torqued everything on the driver's side whenever the car wasn't at ride height, which apparently is a big no-no. So I'm going to redo that, redo all the torquing and all the other fun stuff after I put these on. Now, these are pretty cool. These are EBC Blue Stuffs. They are a track-focused pad. They're pretty dusty, but they will take the temperature range that we need them to on the rear and the front of the car. So we did the Blue Stuffs in the front, Blue Stuffs in the rear. I've had good luck with these. I've ran stock brakes on these, and like I said, the resistance to fade is very strong. They have a great range, and it should be a good pad for that. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and slap these on. I'll show you what those look like, and here we go. If anyone was curious, here's what the brakes look like when they're correctly installed. Right, got those nice, beautiful Blue Stuffs with the big titanium shims, super nice. And here is what it is not supposed to look like. So, this is probably the first major blunder of the build overall. But if you're curious, those are indeed ball bearings, and I am trying to keep the cylinder into the master or the caliper itself, and it's just an utter failure. I'm not going to lie. So long story short, I couldn't get enough stroke on that shaft in order to get the pads in. So I went and I put the car into the pad service mode, which is an electronic setting you have to go for. It sucked everything in, but I didn't have enough room. And so I thought to myself, I said, oh, well, maybe if I cycle it, it'll work out great. So I cycled them out with this not being installed, and it literally shot it shot the piston out of the caliper. And whenever it shot the piston out of the caliper, it just spewed its guts all over my pan, which is super embarrassing, right? So it's unfortunately, from what I can tell in my research into the forums, as soon as it spits all of the ball bearings down in there, that thing is now junk. which is super frustrating, right? It just sucks. Definitely a major blunder on my part, but I'm gonna go see if I can shop and find another one of these. The motor itself is no problem, right? I can reuse the motor that spins that. That's for the parking brake mechanism, if you were curious. But anyway, huge blunder on my part. I'm gonna see if we can drag one together. Hi there. Time traveling Tanner here. This is about 3 weeks after I filmed that clip, and shockingly, we've got ourselves a new brake caliper assembly, right? So this one came from eBay, and I've already gone ahead and got it installed. This was an eBay caliper that came off of another S3 with only about 100,000 miles on it, and I've gone ahead and corrected the blunder, but the lessons were learned, and I definitely don't want to do that again. So everything's now installed and fully complete. So the rear suspension is done, minus that rear shock that you guys don't get to see, but that is now finally complete, and we can move on with working on the front suspension. With that last piece being ordered and on the way, it is the last piece of the rear suspension. Everything else is done there. So the next thing is the front suspension. That's going to be for next episode. So a lot of stuff happened in this one. All of the rear suspension is done. I'm going to go ahead and put up the chart over there and show you everything that we've made progress on. I've already made a ton of progression on the front suspension, so that episode is already halfway shot. I'm hoping to put it out a little bit sooner. I know that there's been a pretty decent gap between episode 4 and episode 5 here, so I figured I'd get something out so you guys could have a look at it. In the meantime, like I said, the front suspension's coming fabulously. Things that we can look forward to are those big, beautiful Brembo Aston Martin brakes that are going to go on, along with the new stainless lines, those new EBC blue stuffs that I've already showed you guys that we have on the rear, and all of our fun bits and things to do with our brand new coilovers, new front suspension arms, and you guys also get to see me struggle with trying to get that driver's side lower control arm bolt in and out. So I think there'll be a lot to see in the next episode. But as always, I really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for your patience in getting this next episode uploaded. If you like the channel, please subscribe to Low Altitude Motorsports. Leave a comment. I love to read them if you guys don't mind leaving them. I love the likes and all the other stuff like that. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.